Vinny Politan, thank you so much for joining us tonight here on Closing Arguments. This hour, we need your help. We absolutely need your help. We're going to get to tonight's unsolved case file. It goes back 4 years. But I want to begin with a case where the investigation has really just begun, but it is moving along. We're talking about a case out of Nevada. The victim's name is Naomi Irion. Let me show you her picture. There she is, just 18 years old. She was last seen on March 12th, and she was getting up early in the morning to go to work, had to take a shuttle to work that picked her up near the Walmart in Fernley, Nevada. There's video, surveillance video, where you can see she's in the convenience store beforehand. Then you see someone approaching her car. A lot of this caught on surveillance video. And now, a new development in the case. During our show on Friday, we talked about this breaking news with Naomi's mom, which was that a suspect had been taken into custody by the Lyon County Sheriff. Now we know his name tonight, and we've got a picture. Here he is. And the reason I put the picture and the name is because this is still a search for Naomi, okay? This isn't glorification of a suspect. This is not glorification of a crime. This is, look at this face. Do you recognize him? Have you seen him? Do you have information related to him that could lead us to where Naomi is? Because she has not been found. But this guy, Troy Driver, has now been accused of kidnapping Naomi from that parking lot in Fernley, Nevada. He's 41 years old, booked into jail Friday night on a kidnapping charge. Let me read for you the information released by the sheriff out in Lyon County. It says on March 25th, 2022, the Lyon County Sheriff's Office arrested Troy Driver, 41 years old, from Fallon, Nevada. Driver is being held on charges of kidnapping. We have located, this is important, we have located the truck in question, and it has been impounded and taken into evidence. That is major, major, major development in terms of trying to find Naomi and trying to find some evidence here. The sheriff indicates this is still a very active investigation, and more information will be released as it becomes available. Naomi still has not been located, and we're continuing to search for her and for information. And one thing that they're doing in Lyon County, they're being as public as you can be in a case like this. You can't release all the information. It disrupts the investigation when all the information is out. But they've been releasing enough to get calls and get leads, and it led now to this suspect, Troy Driver. A little more information for you tonight. This is the absolute latest from the sheriff in Lyon County, who said that a bail hearing for Troy Driver will take place in Fernley, Nevada on Wednesday, March 30th, noon Pacific time. The courtroom will be open to the public. Courtrooms should be open to the public, and they are in this case. The suspect will be physically located at the Yerington jail for the hearing, and as is very common for first appearances, even before COVID, he will appear remotely on Zoom at the courthouse. So that will be our first time to really get to see him. But this investigation has moved along, but it's still an investigation. We've got a suspect. Is he talking? Is he not talking? Huge question, huge question. I mean, when you get arrested and someone says, I want to see my lawyer, that's it. You don't get any more information from them. You got to work through the lawyer. And when you're working through the lawyer, you're working to give a deal. I don't know if you want to give this guy a deal for anything. But in the meantime, we've got a lot more to unravel tonight. Let's bring in our guest. Joining me in Atlanta, Georgia, former special agent in charge from the Georgia Bureau of Investigation, Trebor Randall. In Salt Lake City, Utah, private investigator Jason Jensen. And in Fernley, Nevada, special guest joining us tonight by phone, Naomi's brother, Casey Valley, is with us. Welcome to everyone. Casey, thank you so much. And I want to begin and let you know that the thoughts of all of us here at Court TV are with you and your family, your mom, who we spoke to on Friday. How's everybody holding up now that you're getting a little more information here?
Well, frankly, the lack of progress since the suspect was taken in and charged is a little discouraging. And as we find out more about this guy, the more it looks like, he's a hardened criminal. I'm not going to count on him talking. So we definitely need some more people to come forward and call the secret witness tip line, which has a guarantee of anonymity.
That's important, anonymity. Sometimes people are afraid of retribution, or some people just don't want to get involved. Casey, expound to me a little bit your concerns here, because they're the same concerns I had on Friday when he was arrested. So what you're saying is there's seemingly things have kind of stalled since this guy was taken into custody, meaning that it doesn't sound like, or it doesn't seem like, because you're on the ground there, that investigators are going to specific places that would happen if he was giving them specific information.
I mean, there's plenty of moving parts and pieces, but I can't really talk about some of that stuff. But so there is some progress being made, and some things, might become public, some things might not. We'll see what happens. And I'm not really in the loop like I would like to be. I gave out a little bit more information than they wanted me to, so now they're kind of radio silence with me. But it's definitely not a good situation for our family to be in, and it's frankly, we don't know who this guy is connected to, and we don't have any reason to believe that he worked alone. And there may or may not be accomplices out there that may or may not have Naomi right now. So, like I said, that secret witness tip line, the guarantee of anonymity, and I've been saying, and we've been putting out that if someone can ensure that Naomi is returned unharmed to the family, to law enforcement, to a hospital, to a fire station, to a shopping center, to a Dollar General, I don't care. And they make an anonymous tip, then our family is not, if for some reason they get implicated in the future on any charges related to this, then we are not going to take the witness stand against them.
That's, I get exactly where you're coming from tonight, Casey. I mean, you want your sister back.
Frankly, we don't care about prosecution.
Yeah.
We just want her back. And
absolutely.
And we have to be on the same page, and we have to trust the process here. And it is so hard for us to do that.
You've been put in a difficult position. I mean, it is no easy way to describe what you and your family are going through. Are there searches that are taking place on the ground now, Casey?
Oh, well, Lyon County is doing searches themselves, a couple here and there, but nothing really this week yet that I've heard of. There's been some searches in other counties that were thought to be related when they started, but then turned out to not be, and stuff like that. But we have a public search effort that we're doing every Saturday. And basically through this public search effort with our volunteers, and we have a lot of experienced search and rescue personnel, people with relevant military experience and former law enforcement helping us. And basically we talk to Lyon County, and they help us, pick out some large areas that may or may not have something of interest based on the case. And then we go, and this last Saturday was actually really good. We covered about 10 square miles with only about 200 people. Well, a little under 200, more like 160, 170, something like that. And that's just as many miles as we covered the weekend before when Lyon County was assisting the public search in an official capacity. and there were 700 people at that one. So we're kind of dialing it in. None of us have done this before, and I don't think there's been a public search effort like this in Nevada's history. So, the county apparatuses aren't necessarily set up for this type of thing.
Casey, I want to bring our other guests into the conversation because I think it may help a little bit here, to say the least. We've got Trebor Randall, who works for the Georgia Bureau of Investigation, and Jason Jensen is a private investigator. Trebor, let me begin from your perspective. You've got family that is really concerned. They have one priority, and that's finding Naomi, bringing her home. And what I'm hearing from Casey, it's a built-in conflict of everything that they want versus the way law enforcement is doing it. What are your thoughts tonight about how best to smooth that relationship? And from your experience, how is the best way for that relationship to work? How does it best work together?
Well, I've been in this particular situation many, many times, working with the family, being a supervisor responsible for an investigation and being that liaison to make sure that the family is informed, to make sure that they feel like they're being included. I understand perfectly what Casey is talking about when there are just some aspects of the investigation we cannot share. We want to share information with the family. We want to give them those little glimpses of hope when we do have a hot lead that we're following. But we also know that we run the risk, as Casey mentioned. I appreciate your honesty, Casey, because it will, give some insight to other families that are going through this. Just because you are so desperate to bring your family member home, you may give out more, may say a little more than we would want you to. And we know that your heart is in the right place and you would never do anything to compromise an investigation. But we also ask, just for your understanding, your patience, because look, our obligation is first and foremost to the victim. To find them, locate them if possible. If that is not the outcome and it turns out to be something more tragic, our obligation is still to that victim for justice. It is to that family and as a whole to society to make sure the individuals responsible do not have the opportunity to ever do this again.
Okay, just to be clear really quick, the information that I put out was information that law enforcement professionals wanted released, but they didn't get it approved. So to me, this seems like a direct conflict between bringing Naomi home and protecting the prosecution. So, and the information that I did release was to help identify the vehicle of interest, and that soon after I released that, the vehicle of interest was found. And I don't know what led to that, but I would like to think that releasing a couple more details, which is all it was a couple extra details, that there was only one detail that I mentioned that the public could not deduct by looking at the photos that were released. So when I did that, I did that for a reason, and I did that to help find this suspect, and I don't regret that one bit.
Sure. Totally understand, Vinny. I totally understand where he's coming from. And he has very well educated himself. I can listen to him talk. He's learned about the process. And in a way, he is exactly right that they're trying to protect the integrity of a future prosecution. And when this is your family member, your child, your sister, your brother, you just want them to come home. And it is a direct conflict at times where, yes, they are trying to protect the integrity of that investigation and subsequent prosecution at all costs.
Jason Jensen, you're a private investigator. You've worked with families that have to work with law enforcement, some cases that we're following right here on this show. Your thoughts tonight about this, sometimes very difficult relationship like Casey is experiencing, and Casey's doing everything possible that he can do to find his sister. And we absolutely commend him for that, but he's running into a little bit of pushback, it seems.
Right, Vinny. Sometimes it's a tightrope you have to walk on because you're so focused, so interested in making sure your loved one comes back that you want to say that it doesn't matter as much about the prosecution, but in the long run, prosecution is really what everyone will be interested in at one point or another, because even when Naomi comes back, there will be an effort to seek justice because there was a kidnapping. That's a very dangerous crime, and it has sometimes very tragic outcomes. So we don't want this guy on the street to commit another kidnapping. But definitely there is a relationship that has to be built and nurtured between the victims and law enforcement. Law enforcement knows that. The families learn to appreciate that right away. And boy, sometimes you get that tidbit of information that you really want to share, and sometimes it makes a difference with how quickly information comes forward, which Casey Valley understood here by giving us just that one couple pieces of details. Next thing you know, there's a man in custody. So that's good.
And that is absolutely progress in the investigation. Casey, I want to put on the screen for everyone a newspaper clipping that I think references something that you said about this guy who was arrested, driver. And this is actually from 1997, August 31st, 1997. Troy Edward Driver, 17, will be sentenced next month for his part in the April 22nd murder of methamphetamine dealer Paul Stephen Rodriguez. So it appears he has a criminal history that dates back to at least 1997 at the age of 17. I mean, you can't get much younger. And that's a huge concern here, Casey. So before we run out of time here tonight, Casey, I want to ask you, folks who may be watching who either passed through town or from town and may be watching tonight, what type of information are you looking for?
I mean, we're looking for information that directly brings Naomi back home to us, period. And if that also lets prosecution happen, great. If not, it's not something I can worry about. As far as I'm concerned, the people that are involved in this, they're going to get what they deserve one way or the other. That's the way the universe works most of the time. So, all I care about is bringing Naomi home, period. The prosecution can do everything that they have to do, and as long as they're helping to bring my sister back, I'm going to be as cooperative as possible. But if they're holding back information that the public can use to help find a perpetrator like this, I'm gonna help in whatever way I can.
Absolutely. Casey, thank you again for joining us tonight. And we're going to stay on this story, obviously. And our best to you and your family. And I hope that you get the results that you are looking for and everyone who's watching this show is looking for. And that's Naomi back home. Casey, thanks so much.